Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Koenig Mini Goblin. I admit this is a bit out of my normal wheelhouse. I don't normally review knives this expensive terribly often. This starts out at 515 bucks, but it's worth it as you get to it. We are getting into the custom slash low volume in-house production side of the world. I've worked with Koenig a little bit before. I wanted to get one of their more popular models, the Arius. Unfortunately, I had a financial emergency right as I was about to get it. Super responsive guys. You can basically get whatever the hell you want when you get a hold of them and start working on stuff. And you can spend a lot of money. Or you can just buy one of the basic ones, which this is kind of one of the basic ones. There's a few differences that I'm not 100% sure on. It was loaned to me. Thank you very much by Daddy-O EDC. A great channel, by the way. I'm going to link to him down below. Go check that out. He has more videos about this if you want to get exactly how it varies from stock, but it doesn't vary much from the basic one. I think there were some differences on the blade finish from the basic configuration. But for your 515 bucks, what are you getting? M390 steel and this awesome Wharncliffe blade, titanium frame lock, nice titanium back spacer, and just exquisite build quality in action. We'll get into that more later. But first of all, let's do a few stats before I get too much farther. We have an overall length of 7¼ inches. It's not a terribly big knife. You have a blade length of dead on 3 inches. You have a blade thickness of 1.55 according to my calipers. A handle thickness of 0.5 inches. And a weight of 3.7 ounces, which it's not a lightweight for a 3-incher, but it's not too bad at all for a titanium frame lock. Let's do some size comparisons. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do a lot of size comparisons because I realize this is an expensive knife and it's not something that the average person is going to see a lot. So if you're on the fence about buying one, I'm going to show you exactly what size it is. So we will start out with one of our standards here, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. And you can see it's quite a bit smaller than a PM2. And then, as usual, we'll put the Para 3 down below, which is a more comparable. There you go. And now we're going to show a lot more 3-inch knives. Not because I just want to show off my 3-inch collection, because honestly, no man has ever bragged about having 3 inches. I just want to make sure you guys can see what this thing looks like. We'll start out with some more common 3-inch knives. This is your Kershaw Atmos. Pretty similar in overall length to that, but you can see this is a much bulkier knife. Your Spyderco Sage 5. Very similar in overall dimension to the Sage 5 in a lot of ways. The Mass Drop Gent. I know a lot of you guys have one of these. Pretty similar in overall length to that. Again, it's a bit bulkier. And then your Kershaw Copper Natrix. It's a little bit bigger than the Natrix. The copper one anyway. And lastly, I'll put in a couple more kind of low volume, but not nearly as expensive knives. This is your TRM Neutron and the HEA Designs Hunter. Unfortunately, this one is not mine either. Yeah, you can see it's a little bigger than the Hunter. Pretty similar in size to the Neutron. All right, let's move on and talk about this knife and its individual qualities. First of all, the look of it. I loved the look of it the first time I saw it. It's actually part of the reason why I did not wind up with an Arius. They announced this about the same time that I was talking about getting an Arius, and I was trying to spec it out and stuff, and then I kind of had a bit of a pause and thought, well, maybe I want one of these, just based on the look. And then financial emergencies hit, and I had to cancel my Arius. I hadn't actually made an order. I just had to say I got to hold off. We hadn't gotten as far as an order yet because I was being pretty particular about what I wanted. Because I think the Arius spec that I was looking at was 550 or something. So I was being very, very particular about it. And as you should be, and as they expect you to be when you order a knife this expensive. Again, super accommodating guys. I love the look of it. I love the look of this Wharncliffe. I like the shape of the handle. It is designed by Edison Barajas, a little collaboration with them, or with him. I like the look of the pivot. The all the hardware is really nice quality. It is stainless, but it's extremely nice quality hardware, and I kind of would prefer the stainless because they do hold up a little bit better. I really like the detailing on the back spacer. Very nice. I like the detailing on the pocket clip. It's just very complicated, but works extremely well. And it's just a pretty knife. All the finish on the blade and all this. I will say this does have a custom edge, so I don't know what their stock edge looks like. Daddy-O EDC sharpened it himself because he's clearly, as you can see, quite good at it. So he wanted to put his own edge on it, put his own little stank on it, which is completely fine. The only thing I'm not a fan of looks-wise is just that Koenig, but they put it on everything. Have for a long time. But, I'm not a fan of the font. That's just that's a completely personal thing. But I do really like the looks of it. And as far as quality goes, yeah, you're not going to find much better. This thing is everything is just rock solid. The tolerances are ridiculously good. I did not take this apart because, again, it's not mine. And it's a very expensive knife. But the quality on it is just outstanding. Like I said, the hardware is great. All the milling is just absolutely perfect. Lockup is perfect. Centering's perfect. Oh, I almost cut myself there. Good thing I didn't on camera. That would have been embarrassing. It dropped so quickly that I almost got myself. We'll get to that when we get to talking about the action. But yeah, everything is just perfect on it. It's just absolutely perfect quality-wise. It's just outstanding. Just superb. Blade. Pretty thick blade stock, yes, but this is a very aggressive hollow grind and pretty thin behind the edge. I measured it down to like 18 thousandths, mostly, pretty much average overall. Very thin behind the edge. And again, this is a custom edge, but it slices very well. It slices extremely well. I was pretty pleased with that. Here, we will do some. I will do some paper testing because you guys get annoyed when I don't. But this is Daddy-O EDC's edge, so. But yeah, it's a razor blade. It's awesome. Very impressed with that. I'm sure longer cuts you'd wind up noticing the thickness of that blade stock, but I don't think a whole lot of people are going to heavy use a $515 3-inch blade knife, but I could be wrong. Some people do. But great blade, and I love the Wharncliffe shape. The tip on it is a bit dainty for sure, but a Wharncliffe, you kind of expect that. Most are. When they're not, it's kind of the exception to the rule. Most Warnies have a pretty dainty tip you have to be careful with there. As far as the ergonomics go, this is the only problem I have with it, and it's not a big problem. It's just kind of my hands. Long story short, I will when I do get the money to buy a Koenig, which I will someday. It'll be an Arius, only because this is just. It fits my hands fine. Again, I have large size gloves, but skinny fingers. It fits my hands fine, but it does just feel just a bit small, as you can see. Just the end of the handle is just kind of hitting the edge of my palm there. I would, if it was half an inch longer, I'd like it more. And the way that my hands are, the size of my hands, it's not a hot spot, but I can feel that clip. I wouldn't call it a hot spot, but I can feel the clip because it's riding across, this part of my palm instead of back here where you'd prefer it to be. But the jimping's good. You're definitely locked in here. I don't feel like I don't feel any danger of it slipping out of my hand, anything like that. But I think I would just prefer something the handle to be a little bit larger. But that may just be me, especially if you have anything. Again, I have large size hands, but small. If you just have anything like medium large hands, it would probably fit you absolutely fine. But I think anything like large and up, you might, unless you're okay with it, you might not want something this small. That's why I did so many size comparisons earlier. As far as the carry goes, it carries really well. I moved all my stuff around. I don't have the ye old Wranglers out, but it carries very well. It's very slim in the pocket, very small flipper tab. But yes, there is a fair amount sticking out. You're going to have this up sticking out. It's definitely I wouldn't call it a high carry, but it's definitely not a low carry knife at all. But what you have sticking out is pretty slim and narrow. I'm fine with it, honestly. And I think the shape and the kind of oddness of what is sticking out is, I'm not sure if people will even identify that as a knife. But it's half an inch thick, about your average thickness, but it is super easy to get your hand past. And again, that really small, really nicely chamfered off flipper tab doesn't bother me at all. The thing that I love the most about this knife is the action. Wow. It is superb. You heard that noise. It rockets right out. detent is perfect. Total drop shutter in a 3-inch blade, which is really, really hard to do. It's really hard to get a good detent and have a lightweight 3-inch blade drop like this. It's freaking ridiculous. It's best action I've ever had in a knife that I've ever experienced, I have to say. Just the smoothest, nicest bang. It's it's fantastic. It really is. Very so impressed with the action, and just listen to that noise again. You guys know I like the good sounds. It's just so nice. I'm in love with the action on this. And I know everybody says the Arius is just as good, so I'm excited to get my hands on one of those and hopefully own one someday. But that is my my overall thoughts on the Koenig Mini Goblin. It's freaking cool. This is the Mini Goblin. I don't remember the Goblin. They probably made that, or maybe they're going to make that. I'm not super familiar with knives in this high price range. I don't pay a lot of attention, but the Goblin, whatever it is, in its fuller size, I would really like that. That might get me confused, or might convince me to not get an Arius, but right now I still kind of like the Arius a bit better. But awesome, 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 awesome knife. And the first Koenig I got to actually spend some appreciative time with, and I am just as impressed as I thought I would be. And yeah, I'm leaving this knife thinking $515 is a fair price. I think that's enough said. Awesome, awesome knife. You can get it with carbon fiber. You can get all kinds of crazy stuff you want. So go check out them at koenigknives.com. I'm going to link to Daddy-O EDC's channel down below. Go check him out. And thanks again for loaning this to me. I'm going to get it on its way to you tomorrow so you can have your baby back. Thanks a lot for loaning it. I've been Brian. Have a good one.